Hey guys, Matt and Sarah from Amateur Filmies, and welcome to a brand new video. We'll be showing you all the new Blu-rays and DVDs that we've picked up over the past couple of months. As you guys can probably tell, it's been quite a while since we've done a Blu-ray haul video, or just any video in general, so we have a lot of stuff to show you. Given that, we decided that during this haul, we'll probably show you things a little bit quicker than we usually do because, as you know, some of our Blu-ray haul videos tend to be 30 or 40 minutes, sometimes even longer. So we're going to go through them a little bit quicker this time around, but we still want to hear what you guys think about the movies that we've picked up because there's quite the eclectic mix here, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot here, so let's get right to it.
We thought we'd show you some books that we've picked up. I know that before we went into lockdown, Matt actually picked up a few from an op shop or a thrift shop, as they're known in America. And so we got these on pretty decent price. First off, we Need to Talk About Kevin. We absolutely love the movie. I think it's one of my favourite sort of thrillers. I guess you could call it a thriller. Can't wait to check that one out. And then we also have another favourite of mine. I haven't read it, but I love the movie, Crazy Rich Asians. And so, yeah, can't wait to read that one as well.
We literally picked up these books for only a couple of dollars at the local thrift shop or up shop, as you said. So really good deals. And as was the case with this one, which is Michael, is it Crichton or Crichton?
Don't ask me.
I think it's Crichton. Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. Obviously, I've seen the movie a bunch of times. I just haven't read the book. And just in general, like, I'm not a big reader. Like, I used to be, but I just have neglected reading for so long. So I figured, if I want to get back into it, why not pick a book based on a movie that I love? So thought I'd give Jurassic Park, the book, a try. And the last book we'll quickly show you is this book that I bought on screenwriting, actually. It's called Save the Cat, the last book on screenwriting you'll ever need. I've been really slack on my screenwriting, hobby. I haven't really done much recently, but I figured that, this book's got really good reviews. It's supposed to be a great beginner's tool, so I figured I'd give this one a try, see how it goes. So, yeah, Save the Cat.
And because we're coming into the spooky season and, I like to decorate the house and everything, I thought I'd get some horror-themed candles. So first off, we have I Want to Be in the Sequel, which is like a Scream-themed candle. And it's like, it has like the smell of like a chai latte and it smells like autumn. So I think it's really nice. And then we have a craft-themed candle, which is called We Are the Weirdos. So it's obviously like a quote from The Craft. And it's really nice. It sort of smells like baby powder mixed with like lollies, which sounds a bit silly, but it actually smells really, really nice. So can't wait to check that out.
I still need to pick up the Scream Factory edition of The Craft, actually.
Yes, absolutely. I really do like that film.
Yeah. For now, we'll stick with the candle.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll finally get into the movies and we'll start off with the DVDs. So this first bunch I'm going to show you, I got off a seller on eBay and I'm like 99% sure that these are all bootlegs, but they were really cheap and finding legit copies of them is really hard. So I figured, why not? I may as well just grab them, give them a go. This is the Tomie series, which are a bunch of films based off Tomie written by Junji Ito, which I'm a big fan of, and as proof, I have the Tomie book here, actually. I'm a big fan of Junji Ito. I love the imagery that he comes up with. It's just so unique and really, really freaky. And while I've heard that the film adaptations are really lukewarm and even bad, in general, I'm a fan of manga film adaptations. I learned a lot of them aren't great, but there's sort of that guilty pleasure aspect of it, so hopefully I end up liking these.
So these next four are actually part of that op shop haul that Matt did. And he came home and surprised me with them. And all four of these, I was really excited, for us to own. First off, we have St. Elmo's Fire. I had never seen this before, but Matt's mum actually recommended it to me, and it was really good 80s film. Next up, we have Frequency. This is one of my favourite sort of dramas from like early 2000s. Matt still hasn't seen it, but yeah, I remember watching it as a kid, and it's really sort of like heart-wrenching. It's a really like heartwarming story. And then Encino Man, that's like a family classic of mine. I absolutely love it. I rewatched it recently and I thought, Pauly Shore, is his humour dated? Is it a bit silly? I still think it stands up. I still think he's hilarious. So yeah, do highly recommend that one if you haven't seen it. And then we had Heavenly Creatures. I hadn't seen this all the way through before. Peter Jackson's earlier work. It was pretty good. Did you like it?
Yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed this one. I've been wanting to watch more of Peter Jackson's early works, especially because I absolutely love Brain Dead, The Frighteners, and Bad Taste. I still need to watch Meet the Feebles as well, but this Heavenly Creatures was another one that I hadn't seen. And yeah, I thought it was actually really, really solid. Yeah. And we got a really awesome deal with these. I mean, Sarah already mentioned we got these from the thrift shop or the op shop. Got all four of these for $1 each. And just Heavenly Creatures alone is really hard for us to find in general anyway, so we scored massively. So these next 3 DVDs are again from the same seller on eBay that I bought the Tomie films from, and all 3 of these are directed by one of my favorite directors, Takashi Miike. So I knew that I had to pick these up. The first one here is Young Thug's Innocent Blood. Then we have Young Thug's Nostalgia. And finally, Fudo, The New Generation. Or is it The Next Generation? No, The New Generation. Of these 3, I've only watched Fudo. I really, really liked it. As usual with Takashi Miike, there is some problematic stuff in the film, but, I like watching his films to see how weird he can get. And this is from the 90s, so it's during that sort of video era that was really popular in Japan at the time. Absolutely bizarre film. If you are a fan of Takashi Miike in general, and you're curious about some of his earlier 90s work, definitely give Fudo a try. Just expect some crazy stuff as usual.
So at the start of lockdown, I thought I would do a JB Hi-Fi haul, so we had something to watch while we were stuck at home. And so I bought a bunch of modern horrors, or modern-ish horrors, and I picked up Ready or Not, and my brothers hadn't seen this, so we rewatched it with them. Such a good movie. So intense. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think we saw that at the cinema when it first came out. And it's just a solid, enjoyable horror film. Everyone I know who's watched it has enjoyed it. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but if you haven't, it's a really easy pick. Definitely try it.
I think the people who created that are also creating the new Scream movie.
Oh, okay.
The two filmmakers, so...
If that's the case, then I have higher hopes for Scream than before, because they definitely know how to write a fun, engaging horror movie, so
yeah. Absolutely. And then we have Willy's Wonderland. Cannot say the same thing about that
I
film,
fell asleep in this movie.
Yeah, Matt did fall asleep. He doesn't do that very often.
No.
In his defense. This had a good idea. There were some really cool elements, but ultimately fell flat.
Yeah,
not even Nicolas Cage could save this film.
No, I did not like it at all. I thought his character was absolutely silly, and I really did not like the effects in the film either. I know I don't want to pretend to know about how the budget applies to, real effects versus CGI or whatever, but I feel like if they could do practical effects in this film, it would have benefited it a lot, because lots of scenes looked really stupid.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a bit of a disappointment, but I can't say the same about this film. I really love this one, Freaky. Obviously a take on the Freaky Friday concept. Vince Vaughn in this film is brilliant. I think he makes this film, his humour and comedy, sort of coming back to his comedic roots.
Yeah.
I guess he was always funny, but yeah.
Even though I was going to mention as well, I've been really liking some of Vince Vaughn's newer performances as well. And while you did mention that that's a comedy film, I really liked him in Craig Zala's Brawl in Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete as well. I've been really liking Vince Vaughn recently. So Freak is great too, though, as Sarah mentioned.
Good break from the seriousness.
Yeah.
And then, I can't really call this a modern horror, but The Sixth Sense. Best M. Night Shyamalan film. Absolutely brilliant. Everyone knows about the twist. But yeah, fantastic. Toni Collette, first, obviously she's always been a great actress. She's been a great actress in many films, but this is one of the films that really sort of solidified her as a talented actress for me. I think she's just amazing, especially watching Hereditary.
Yeah, definitely.
Blown away.
and to add on to The Sixth Sense, we also picked up Unbreakable as well. Have you seen this one?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I have seen this one, but it's been many, many years. Obviously, the film's still sealed, but as I said, I have seen it. I really did like it. It's sort of, from memory, it's sort of like, say what Quentin Tarantino said. It's, what if Superman was on Earth, but he didn't know he was Superman. I don't know, something like that. I'm probably misquoting him terribly there, but it's a really interesting movie. I really like Bruce Willis's performance in this. I do recall him being really good in this film, and yeah, I think it'll be cool to watch a superhero type of film from back in the early 2000s. That's not like a straight up Marvel movie or something. And
then I picked this one up because my brother recommended it, and I was like, oh, I'm not too sure about it. This was actually an alright horror, for a Blumhouse production. It's not A24, but it's still really enjoyable. Countdown. So, what if you had an app that would tell you when you died, but the app had some sinister motives behind it. So
yeah, I didn't watch this one with Sarah. To me, it sounds like it's going to be dog ass, but you said it was all right.
Yeah,
so I might give it a go.
It's a little bit gimmicky, but it was really fun.
Yeah, I'll give it a try, but based on what I'd seen from the trailer and that, it wasn't something I had high hopes for, but yeah. And next up, we have the original Salem's Lot. Now, this is a Stephen King film that I haven't seen yet. I've said many times on this channel how much I love the Stephen King movie adaptations, the good ones and the really, really terrible ones. I've heard decent things about this. One common thing I've heard, though, is that it is quite dated, but generally that doesn't bother me that much. I know Sarah's dad's a pretty big fan of this
He loves
one.
it.
He said it scared him a lot when he was a kid. Hey?
Yeah, it terrified him. And I watched it with him. I was like, I don't get it. But we'll see upon rewatch.
Yeah. I said, well, as I said, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe I'll feel the same. We'll see. And I guess very, very different to Salem's Lot. We have an animated film from, Satoshi Kon, Tokyo Godfathers. We talked about before in a previous haul video how much we loved Perfect Blue, and I just wanted to check out more of Satoshi Kon's work because I thought Perfect Blue was brilliant. And I really like the sort of theme behind this. From memory, these, I think, 3 homeless people, they find a baby that's been abandoned or something like that, and they try and take care of it. It's something like that. It's been a while since I bought it. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but it's supposed to be excellent based on the reviews as usual, and yeah, can't wait to see it.
So this is another movie we picked up from JB Hi-Fi. It's Umbrella Entertainment, their Beyond Genres sort of release, and that's Psycho Gorman, and I really love that sort of slip and the design on that. We personally haven't seen it yet. We've been waiting to watch it with my little brothers because we know that they love that type of genre. So yeah, can't wait to check that one out.
Yeah, just the idea of these kids summoning a demon to do their bidding sounds really, really funny. So, and I have heard really cool things about that as well. I think it did pretty well on like the festival circuit or something. Maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah, it should be a fun one, I think. So these next 6 that we're going to show you are all part of the Imprint film collection. So I know a lot of you guys are interested in that label because, they're really high quality and, it's a newish Australian label. So it's really cool to have more of these in the collection because I think we only had like 1 or 2 at the time of buying these. So these went on special, so we grabbed a bunch. First one here is This Straight Story, directed by David Lynch. And that is the main reason I wanted to pick this film up. I absolutely love David Lynch, definitely probably my top 5 favorite directors of all time. I've heard this is more of a sort of regular movie compared to his more experimental works. It's more of a straight story.
Yeah, it looks pretty like mainstream for Lynch.
Forgive my bad pun. But yeah, I've heard this is a brilliant film. Really looking forward to watching this one. Next one here is As Good As It Gets. This is a really, obviously well-known movie starring Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt and Greg Kinnear. I watched this one. I did like it. I thought it went on for just a little bit too long and it was very, very self-indulgent at times. And it was one of those films when those New York set films where some of the characters become very unrelatable at certain stages of the story. But
Marriage Story, like?
Yeah, in a way, like Marriage Story, I guess. But this one's definitely more so. On the whole, though, I did like it. I think I ended up giving it like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. So I didn't regret my time watching it, but yeah, it just dragged on a little bit too much. But yeah, still worth watching for sure.
And then we have another Stephen King adaptation, because we can't get enough of them, apparently. So that's The Dead Zone, David Cronenberg film. There were some really creepy sequences throughout this film, and I wanted to like it more, but I feel like, personally for me, I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be in terms of genres. It was like a political thriller, but it was also like a supernatural horror. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
I really liked it. Yeah, I mean, I was familiar with it. I'd seen it a long time ago, but obviously I was familiar with the Stephen King story as well, being a fan of him. And I really like the horror aspects of the film, especially the vision sequences in particular. I thought they were really, really creepy. And yeah, just the twists and turns in the story I really enjoyed. I kind of know what you mean as far as, not knowing what genre it wants to belong to, but I personally think it blends them quite well. I think it's a solid movie, so I would recommend it probably more than her.
And this one is a childhood favourite of mine. I don't know why I watched this as a child. And I forced Matt to watch it. So this is The Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere. I remember it being super eerie and super creepy. It still very much is. Personally, I felt like it was probably like half an hour too long. But overall, this is like a really sort of creepy, sort of atmospheric horror. And I think it was one of the few films that really genuinely like creeped me out without overtly showing things, if that makes sense.
These last 2 from Imprint, I'm still yet to watch, but I'm, as usual, very excited to. The first one here is Drugstore Cowboy with Matt Dillon. I've heard this is a cult classic. I really like Matt Dillon as an actor as well, actually. He's one of those actors who I didn't really see many movies of when I was growing up, but when I watched The House That Jack Built, I remembered how much of a good actor he was, so I wanted to seek out this one, especially knowing that Imprint had put out a good copy of it, so definitely keen to check that one out. And the last one from Imprint is Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven. Obviously, it's Terrence Malick, so that's reason enough for me to check it out because, I love Badlands. Really enjoyed The Thin Red Line and just some of his other work as well. So this one's supposed to be one of his best. That's what I've heard. And yeah, I figured I'd give this one a go. So really looking forward to it. So that's all for the Imprint releases. This next one I'm going to show you is quite an oddity, actually. It's from a very new company called Error 4444. This is their first ever release, and they're slowly going to be releasing more things throughout the year, which I'm really excited for. But anyway, this one here is Anatomia Extinction. You may have seen a few other collectors show this off before, but this was actually quite a rare release. I think it was limited to maybe 1,000. But yeah, I'm really excited to check this one out because basically it's the precursor to the film Tokyo Gore Police, which some of you might be familiar with. Obviously, you can tell by the title that film is very extreme with massive amounts of gore, which is to be expected, of course. But I really love the oddity that film is. And if I'm not mistaken, this film here, Anatomia Extinction, was sort of like the short film that eventually led to the creation of Tokyo Gore Police. I just really love, the sort of underground Japanese filmmaking, so really excited to see what this film brings to the table. I think it was made in the early to mid-90s, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, definitely check out that label. I'm not sure if they have any more copies of this available, but they're definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye out on as far as, seeing what future films they're going to release, because they said that they're going to sort of deliver on really wacky Japanese films and sort of Asian cinema in general. So super excited to see what else they put out.
So these next two films are Scream Factory titles, and I love a good Scream Factory title, so I thought, why not pick them up? We have Valentine. Now, this was a movie that I watched a lot growing up, and I thought it was like fantastic when I was a child. I rewatched it with Matt, and Matt had watched it for the first time, and my little brothers. Upon rewatching, it's not as good, unfortunately, but it's still sort of really, it's enjoyable. It's a decent slasher, would you say?
It's one that you'd probably pair with, I guess Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those general late 90s, early 2000s slashers, which, as I've said multiple times, I find that sort of era and that sort of vibe really comforting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really nostalgic. So I did enjoy it for that aspect, but on the whole, yeah, wasn't great.
And this is by no means at the level of Scream. Don't get it twisted.
Of course, yeah. I just meant for the feel of the film. As far as, that era, maybe a better pairing would be Urban Legend or something.
Yeah, that's probably actually quite fitting. And then this next one, I was super excited. I was holding out for this one. This is the Green Inferno, Eli Roth's Green Inferno. Look at that beautiful slip. Isn't that amazing? And this is, I haven't seen a whole bunch of cannibal films. That's more Matt's forte. But this, I remember when we first watched this, I was absolutely shocked that the first death within that made me ill. I could not believe it, how brutal it was. But I really can't wait to rewatch this. And again, we're probably going to rewatch this with my little brothers because they haven't seen it, and we'll get their verdict on it. I
think for me, I really enjoy The Green Inferno. I also understand why there are a lot of people who don't like the film. Being someone who's really familiar with the 70s cannibal films, there's a lot for me to enjoy in this sort of modern version of those types of films. That being said, it does suffer from a lot of the sort of shortcomings that are in other Eli Roth films as far as the characters and whatnot. But on the whole, I think it's quite enjoyable. Definitely not for everyone though.
So these next three films are Second Sight films, and they're quickly becoming my favourite label because the quality of the film and the release are amazing. This is Lake Mungo, one of my all-time favourite movies. I think it's brilliant. Production quality, because it is a found footage film, isn't the best, but fantastic film. It's one of the few films that genuinely makes me really scared.
Yeah, and I guess you could also argue with the production quality that does add to the scariness a little bit, given that it is a found footage production. It's always, from the get-go, you can tell it's supposed to be an amateurish sort of documentary take anyway. So I personally think that the production feels fine, if that makes sense.
Next up, we have The Strangers with Liv Tyler. This is a fantastic home invasion film. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with this, but I think the creepiest part to me about this film is the motive of the killers. And I obviously won't go into too much detail, it's a spoiler, but I find it the most terrifying, this type of motive of killer. If you're familiar with it, absolutely terrifying.
Personally, when I rewatched it not super long ago, actually, it wasn't as good as I remembered it. It's not terrible or anything. I do enjoy it, but funnily enough, I want to go on a limb and say I think I might prefer the sequel actually, which might be an unpopular opinion. Strangers Prey at Night, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's a little bit more fun personally, but I know more people prefer the first one, but yeah.
So this next one was a Shudder original, I believe, and now it's being released on Second Sight, which is really cool. It's actually a bit of a shorter film. This is Host, and it's filmed mostly on like Zoom meeting screens. Matt, you haven't seen it, but I really reckon that you would really love it.
Yeah, it only goes for like an hour or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, easy watch.
Yeah. But, I like beefing up my Letterboxd account with short things anyway. So, yeah, no, I have heard, from you and plenty of others that it's actually really decent.
Yeah, it's sort of obviously similar vibes to, like, say, Unfriended, but I feel like this is better, like better quality than Unfriended. It's much creepier. Yeah, much better. The rest of this video is actually going to be Arrow releases. We always like to leave them till last, especially because there's a lot of box sets involved. But this next one is Mallrats. Kevin Smith classic. I actually really love this release of it. But yeah, really good film. Personally, not my favourite. My favourite is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. But I feel like this is one of the contenders, one of his stronger works.
Not sure if we said at the start of the video, but I do want to reiterate here that while we've got a lot of things here, obviously we haven't seen all of them yet, and that goes doubly so for a lot of these Arrow releases, just because a few of them have multiple films within them, and obviously we're going to find the time, so please keep that in mind. But all the ones we're going to show you from this point on are all going to be box sets, and this first one is one that a lot of people weren't sure they were going to get at one point. This is Django. If you're familiar with the history of this particular release, it got released and then pulled due to rights issues, then it got re-released and then pulled again, and then finally we actually have a proper release of Django. And, this is such a, cult classic, and I've been really wanting to see this for such a long time, and this is the 4K version, so really awesome to have such a high quality release of such an iconic film, so really looking forward to checking this one out. So this next release came in the mail only a few days ago, actually, which is very timely if you think about it, given that the remake of this film is currently in theaters. So this is David Lynch's Dune. This is one I have not seen, and exact same thing as what I said for Django. It's supposed to be a cult classic. I have heard very mixed things on David Lynch's version of this, but I'm very interested to see what it's like, obviously, as well, because it's David Lynch, although I don't expect Dune to be anything like Eraserhead. Yeah, really keen to check this one out. Hopefully I'll be able to check this one out before I go see the remake, and then I'll have sort of like a idea of what they're like compared to each other. So yeah, it should be good. So I'm going to show these next two together for reasons that will be obvious very quickly. We have two Dario Argento films. The first one here is The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and this one here is The Cat of Nine Tails. Now, I already own these box sets on Blu-ray from back in the day when they first released them. Yeah, I really love those films, but Arrow recently did 4K upgrades of these films. In general, I have said in the past, I'm not going to upgrade every new release to 4K that Arrow does, but when it comes to Dario Argento, I'm more than likely going to do it, especially because these particular versions are the limited art version, and they're sort of like the Italian sort of poster-like stuff, which, while you could argue that the previous releases looked a little bit better, I actually kind of like the sort of artisticness of these ones.
I have to disagree.
Yeah, fair enough.
Classic posters are much better, I reckon, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll sell the other ones or not, because I just really love the look of the releases, but I'm glad that we did get the 4K upgrades for these particular films, because I do love both of these. Definitely Bird with the Crystal Plumage a lot more. Cat of Nine Tails is sort of average, but I still really enjoyed it, so cool to have these two Argento films in the collection again. Hold this for a sec, I can feel something on my leg. Spider on my foot.
Fuck. Little bastard.
This next one is also an upgrade of sorts, although not from Blu-ray to 4K. This one here is the Arrow box set of the Human Condition trilogy. We used to have the standard Amaray re-release of this set, but I saw this on eBay for a really decent price, and as you guys know, I'm a sucker for Arrow video box sets, so I thought I'd grab this one. Still need to get through the whole entire series, but it's absolutely fantastic. Criterion have done a version of it themselves as well, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with this particular release, but just very, very awesome to have this. This particular edition is long out of print, so to find this for a decent price was really, really cool. Next up, we have the very, very popular film True Romance, directed by... No, it's not directed by Quentin Tarantino. I always get to say that. It's directed by Tony Scott, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, directed by Tony Scott. Screenplay originally written by Quentin Tarantino. I haven't seen this film for many, many years, but I do, recall enjoying it. I just love the all-star cast and just really, really memorable characters, something you would obviously expect from Quentin Tarantino. And yeah, there were plenty of different versions of this particular release. The, Zavi had their own two versions and Arrow had their own versions. I was happy to stick with this one, and they might still be available. It's probably worth checking. if you're interested. But yeah, really looking forward to revisiting this one after so long. You haven't seen this before, have you?
No, I always got this mixed up with Natural Born Killers. I'm not even sure.
Which maybe that was directed by Tony Scott as well.
No, that's Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone, yeah. I always get those two mixed up, which is really, really random. But yeah.
So this box set literally came in the mail today, only a few hours before we started this video. That is the Children of the Corn trilogy. Now, the first film is in 4K, but the other two are Blu-ray, but it's really cool to have them all together as a set.
Next up, we have the Daimogen trilogy. I think that's how you say it. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I knew that I needed to get this one, not just because the artwork is beautiful, but because I really love, just big monster movies, in the similar vein as to, the Godzilla films or the Gamera films. This one just looks like an absolute treat. I listened to the Arrow Video podcast where they sort of covered these films briefly, and it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and the story apparently is actually quite engaging and interesting too. But yeah, in general, I'm just looking forward to seeing some destruction on screen. This box set is absolutely beautiful as well. It's sort of similar to some of the Vinegar Syndrome box sets where the top part comes off. But yeah, really, really cool to have this. Definitely will be digging into these very soon. So we have two more box sets to show you. This next one is the Vengeance Trails, 4 classic westerns. And this one was definitely more of a blind buy than the others. Generally I do obviously look into all the films that we purchase to some degree, but this one I sort of bought more so off the strength of the names attached, most notably Lucio Fulci, which I don't need to tell you guys how much of a fan I am of his work too. But yeah, in general, like our Western film collection and just my Western film viewing in general is very, very lackluster. I've seen a couple of, the really big ones, obviously, but when it comes down to sort of the more niche ones, I just have almost no knowledge whatsoever. So I figured, it's Arrow Video, a company I love, beautiful box set, which collects 4 niche Westerns with directors whose names I'm familiar with. May as well give it a go. So really cool to have this box set as well. And finally, this last box set is the Years of Lead. 5 classic Italian crime thrillers. So it's pretty much exactly the same as what I said for Vengeance Trails, except I have seen a few more of films that are similar to this. Basically, in the 70s, a lot of the Italian crime thrillers were known as, I think it's polizieschi. I've said this a few times in previous videos and I always mess it up, but just sort of like cop dramas that were made in Italy during the 70s. And the ones that I've seen I've really enjoyed. One that springs to mind immediately is Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man. Almost Human, I think, is another one that I really enjoyed as well. And as I said with Vengeance Trails, this is another Arrow Video box set that collects a bunch of them. I'm expecting high-octane action and some really funny dialogue, so I'm really looking forward to digging into these. If you've seen any of these as well and you can recommend any in particular, let us know, because I'm going to watch all of them, of course, but yeah, just want to hear you guys' thoughts, but very, very much looking forward to this.
So that concludes our Blu-ray haul for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I know that we've collected a bunch over the month and hopefully we'll like to be a little bit more consistent with our videos in future. We hope to bring out a ranking video next on a famous horror franchise, in celebration of Halloween. So really keen to show that one to you guys. If you have any of the releases that we have, mention in the comment if you have any suggestions for movies that we, might enjoy based on these movies, please let us know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, thanks so much guys for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate it.